They will not regret losing you, not at first. While you are staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., replaying every word, they are sleeping soundly. While you are dissecting your own worth, they are moving through their day, untroubled. You have been erased without a second thought, and the sheer injustice of it feels like a fire in your throat. But that fire is not your enemy. It is the beginning of the answer. What happens when the one who was ignored becomes the one who is untouchable? You feel it before you can name it. It's a weight in your chest when their name appears on your phone, or a hollowness when it doesn't. It's the exhausting, soul-crushing work of pretending you don't notice the shifty conversations that have become shallow oceans, the effort that has become a one-way street, the respect that has been chipped away molecule by molecule, until you are left holding nothing but dust. You find yourself locked in the prison of your own mind, replaying conversations, searching for the exact moment the connection fractured. You make excuses for them, a lawyer defending a guilty client. They're just busy, they're going through something. It's just a phase. But your body knows the truth. Your body keeps the score. Your sleep is restless, a battlefield of ghosts. Your mind is a courtroom where you are both the prosecutor and the defendant, endlessly arguing a case that has already been decided. The ancient Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, Epictetus, the former slave, Seneca, the political advisor, knew this battle. They taught that the most profound wars are not waged with swords on open fields, but within the silent fortress of our own minds. This feeling, this gnawing, constant unease, is a distress signal from your inner citadel. It is a quiet alarm, a red flag fluttering in the wind, telling you that the walls are being compromised, not by a dramatic, cinematic attack, but by the slow, creeping poison of neglect, where you are no longer welcome. It is not to scream louder to be heard. It is to find the dignity, the strength, and the self-respect to turn in silence and walk away. This isn't about giving up. It is the final, powerful act of choosing peace over performance, and your own soul over their fleeting approval. This is the moment you stop waiting for them to see your worth and finally begin to embody it for yourself. It begins with a misunderstanding, a small fracture in the connection. Believing in the power of words, you approach them, you explain yourself, you lay out your feelings with the precision of a mapmaker, charting the coordinates of your heart, certain that communication is the bridge back to solid ground. You are vulnerable, honest, and clear, but your words, offered like a gift, hit a wall of cool indifference. They are heard, but not felt, acknowledged, but not understood. There is no spark of recognition in their eyes, just a placid, unnerving calm. You feel a chill, but you dismiss it. Maybe I wasn't clear enough, you tell yourself. So the next time it happens, you try again. You choose your words with even more care. You polish them, refine them, hoping to find the magic combination that will unlock their empathy. You try to be less emotional, then more emotional. You try to be logical. You try to be patient. But this time, your explanation is met not with indifference, but with something worse: deflection. The conversation is twisted, your feelings are invalidated, and somehow, through a dizzying act of emotional alchemy, the blame lands back at your feet. You walk away not just unheard, but confused, questioning your own perception of reality. Now, you find yourself silent, not because you have nothing left to say. You have entire libraries of unspoken words burning inside you. You are silent because you have finally, painfully realized the absolute futility of speaking to someone who is determined not to hear you. You have learned that you cannot force a person to value your perspective. You can't logic someone into caring. This silence is not empty. It is heavy with unspoken truths. It is pregnant with the final, sober admission that your energy is a finite, precious resource, and pouring it into a void is a form of self-harm. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, a man who knew the true meaning of powerlessness and power, taught a simple, revolutionary idea. We cannot control what happens outside of us. We cannot control the opinions, judgments, or actions of others. We can only control our own response. Trying to force them to understand is like trying to command the tides. It is a fool's errand, a source of endless frustration. The only power you have is to decide what you do with your own mind, your own words, and your own energy. Your silence is that response. It is the ultimate power move of withdrawing your life force from a black hole. It is a conscious, deliberate choice to stop participating in a game you can never win. Think of yourself as a gardener. For so long, you stood before a stone, believing it was a seed. You gave it your water, your sunlight, your care. You poured your attention, your hope, and your love into it, believing that one day, with enough nurturing, it would sprout. Your friends may have watched you, confused, as you tended to this barren rock. But you had faith. You saw its potential. Now your hands are raw, your back aches, and the watering can is empty. And you finally see the stone for what it is, impenetrable, inert, and unchanging. To continue pouring your life force onto it is not devotion. It is self-depletion. It is insane. The emotional payoff of walking away from that stone is a quiet peace. It is the relief of no longer auditioning for the role of being understood. It is the moment you put down the heavy watering can and feel the tension release from your shoulders. You stop seeking their validation, and in the profound stillness that follows, you finally begin to hear your own voice. Again, you are shocked by how clear, how calm, and how certain it sounds. What happens when you realize your silence is more honest than your words ever were? You walk into the room, and you can feel it happen. A subtle, almost imperceptible shift. A mask, one you know intimately, clicks into place over your soul. You become a carefully curated version of yourself. You smile when your heart feels hollow. You laugh a little too loudly at jokes that aren't funny. You shrink your needs, your opinions, your very essence to make yourself smaller, more convenient, less of a burden. This is the surest sign that you have started performing for your place in their life, rather than simply existing in it. Your presence is no longer a fact. It is an audition. The emotional trigger is the bone-deep exhaustion you feel the moment you are alone again. It is a profound psychic drain, the kind that sleep cannot fix. It's the hangover from the effort of being someone you are not. You have become an actor, playing the part of the cool girl, the unbothered guy, the low-maintenance friend. You are terrified that your authentic self, the one with needs, with messy feelings, with boundaries, is too much or not enough. And so you offer them this polished, edited, and ultimately false version of yourself, hoping it will be enough to buy their affection. The Roman playwright and Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote extensively about the importance of living in accordance with your own nature. He saw authenticity not as a lifestyle choice, but as a moral imperative. To live a good life, a eudaimonic life, was to live in harmony with your true self. When your presence becomes a performance, you are living in direct, violent opposition to your own nature. You have abandoned the sacred ground of your own soul to appease the whims of another. You are, in Seneca's eyes, living a lie. The symbol for this is a borrowed costume. When you are with them, you are wearing an outfit that does not belong to you. It's itchy, it's ill-fitting. The seams are tight in all the wrong places. It constricts your breathing. You can't move freely in it. You are constantly aware of it, adjusting it, hoping no one notices how uncomfortable you are. This costume might be beautiful to them. It might be exactly what they wanted you to wear, but it is not yours. To stay in this connection is to choose to wear this costume indefinitely. It is to agree to a slow, methodical suffocation of the person underneath. Every forced smile, every swallowed opinion, every ignored need is another button fastened, another string pulled tighter. The power move is not a dramatic, tearful confession where you rip the costume off in front of them. The true power move is to drop the act without a final bow. You simply stop showing up for the performance. Your absence becomes the closing curtain, an act done not for their benefit or their education, but for the desperate, gasping person waiting patiently behind the mask. The emotional payoff of walking away is the profound, full-body exhale of taking off that costume in the silence of your own space. It is the freedom of no longer needing an audience. The relief is so immense, it feels like coming home to a body you had almost forgotten was yours. In the quiet that follows, you are not lonely, you are free. You start to reacquaint yourself with your own skin, your own thoughts, your own laughter, and you make a silent vow to never, ever wear something that isn't yours again. You are no longer an actor on their stage. You have become the entire theater. They hurt you. The action is undeniable. A promise broken, a cruel word, a profound act of neglect. The pain is sharp and real. Then, after a period of tense silence, they come to you. They say the words, "I'm sorry." And in that moment, a wave of intoxicating relief washes over you. The tension in your chest dissolves. The story you tell yourself is that this is the turning point. This is the moment of breakthrough. You grant them your forgiveness like a holy sacrament, believing the cycle is finally, mercifully broken. You have hope again, but soon, maybe in a week, maybe in a month, the same behavior returns. It might wear a slightly different disguise, a different context, but the underlying pattern, the core disrespect, is identical. Their apology was not a bridge to better behavior. It was merely an intermission. It was a strategic pause, a tool used to reset the scene so the same painful act could play out all over again. The emotional trigger is the dizzying, nauseating confusion of this cycle. The hope followed by the inevitable letdown. It chips away at your trust, not just in them, but in yourself. It makes you question your own sanity. Did I overreact? Was it really that bad? Am I being too sensitive? You are caught in a loop of their creation, a psychological torment that leaves you perpetually off balance. The Emperor of Rome, Marcus Aurelius, spent his nights in a tent on the battlefields of Germania, writing to himself. He wasn't just a ruler, he was a student of human nature. He taught himself to observe patterns in the cosmos and in people. Look at the past, he wrote to himself, its prevailing character, and you can foresee the future, too. He understood that people are creatures of habit, and their past actions are the most reliable predictor of their future ones. The pattern of their behavior is the truth. The apology is the distraction. The Stoic task is to have the courage to believe the pattern, not the words. It is to see the apology not as a genuine act of remorse, but as a tactic of conflict management. They are not sorry they hurt you. They are sorry you are upset. They are sorry there are consequences. They are sorry the play was interrupted. The apology is designed to placate you, to manage your reaction, so they can continue behaving as they wish. The metaphor for this is a leaky roof. Every time it rains, a drip forms in the ceiling and water stains the floor. They come to you, full of regret. They apologize for the drip. They place a bucket underneath it. They might even get some plaster and patch the stain on the ceiling so it looks better for a while. But they never, ever go up on the roof to fix the hole. And so you live in a house where you are constantly anticipating the next storm. You can't relax. You can't feel secure. You are perpetually managing the damage instead of living in shelter. You are mopping up water while the foundation of the house slowly rots away. The power move is not to scream at them to fix the roof. It is not to hand them the tools and a ladder. It is to stop accepting a life of constant leaks. It is to realize that you deserve a home that is sound, a shelter that is safe. The emotional payoff of walking away is finally leaving that house. It's the profound, unshakable security of knowing you will no longer have to live in fear of the rain. You are no longer scanning the sky for clouds. The power is in building your own shelter, even if it starts small, a place where your peace is the foundation and your self-respect is the roof. A place where apologies are not needed. Because respect is built into the very walls, you are the one who sends the first text. You are the one who makes the plans. You are the one who asks the questions, who remembers the important dates, who puts in the effort to keep the conversation from fading into an awkward silence. You pour your energy, your thoughtfulness, and your hope into the connection, while they provide nothing. Their replies are short. Their enthusiasm is feigned. They are a passive recipient of your endless emotional labor. You are, in essence, trying to keep something alive that is already long gone. The emotional trigger is the deep, cavernous loneliness of unreciprocated effort. It's a unique and painful ache. You are with someone, yet you feel profoundly alone. You are the sole caretaker of a relationship that should be a shared garden. You tell yourself stories to justify the imbalance. They're just not good, texter. They show their love in other ways, even though you can't quite name them. If I just try a little harder, if I just give a little more, it will come back to life. You believe your love, your effort alone, will be enough to revive it. This is where the Stoics would counsel a dose of harsh, liberating reality. They were masters of seeing things exactly as they are, not as we wish them to be. This practice of stripping away our judgments and desires to see the plain facts is a cornerstone of their philosophy. The fact is, you are not nurturing a struggling plant. You are watering a dead one. The soil is depleted. The roots have rotted away. Your continued effort, no matter how sincere, changes nothing. It simply drains your own well. The metaphor is one of the most powerful and tragic. You are a devoted gardener with a watering can, standing over a pot of dry, brittle, lifeless twigs. Every morning, you fill your can with your precious, life-giving water, your attention, your time, your emotional energy, and you pour it onto this dead thing. You remember when it was a vibrant, green sapling. You remember the promise of its leaves. And that memory keeps you chained to this futile ritual. You can pour the entire ocean into that pot, but it will never bloom again. It cannot. The power move is not to smash the pot in anger. It is not to make a grand declaration of your departure. The power move is to quietly, deliberately put down the watering can. It is a silent act of profound self-preservation. The emotional payoff is immense. The moment you stop, you feel a surge of energy. It is the conservation of your most vital resource. You look at the full watering can in your hands and realize that this life-giving force can be used to cultivate a garden that is vibrant and alive. That garden is your own life, your own goals, your own friendships that do reciprocate, your own well-being. You begin to pour that water on yourself. You nurture your own forgotten hobbies. You reconnect with people who fill your cup instead of draining it. You invest in your own growth, and slowly, miraculously, you begin to bloom. You become the garden, and you realize that the most beautiful thing you could have ever grown was never in that pot. It was always in you. Pay attention, not to their words, not to your hopes, but to your body. Become a scientist of your own physical sensations. Observe what happens in the moments before you are scheduled to see them. Does a low-grade hum of dread begin to vibrate in your stomach? Do you find your shoulders creeping up towards your ears? Observe what happens during your time with them. Are you holding your breath? Is your jaw clenched? Do you feel a tightness in your chest, a subtle but persistent need to escape? And most importantly, observe what happens after you leave them. Do you feel energized, lighter, and happier? Or do you feel drained, as if you've just run a marathon? Do you need a long period of solitude to recover from being with them? Your body is an ancient, wise instrument. It has no ego. It has no desire to please others. It cannot be given, and it is telling you a profound truth that your conscious mind, with all its rationalizations and loyalties, is desperately trying to deny. This person, who may have once been a source of comfort, a safe harbor, has now become a source of stress, a storm. The emotional trigger is this visceral, physical reaction. It is the deep, unsettling dissonance of your body screaming no while. Your mind keeps whispering, but I should want to see them. I should be happy. You start to distrust your own body, treating it like an unreliable narrator, when in fact it is the only one telling you the unvarnished truth. The Stoics prized a state they called apatheia. Meaning is far more profound. It means a state of tranquility, a mind free from disturbing passions and irrational anxieties. If a person, a place, or a situation consistently and predictably robs you of your tranquility, they are actively working against your highest good. They are the antithesis of the Stoic goal. The metaphor is that of an allergic reaction. You might, in theory, love the idea of peanuts. You might remember a time when you enjoyed them. But if you have developed a severe allergy, they are now poison to your system. To continue eating them simply because you once enjoyed them or because other people seem to enjoy them is a form of madness. It is a slow, deliberate act of self-destruction. The problem isn't that the peanut is inherently evil. The problem is that it is fundamentally, biologically incompatible with your well-being. Your anxiety is the hives. Your clenched jaw is swelling. Your exhaustion is the anaphylactic shock of the soul. The power move is to honor your body's wisdom without apology or explanation. You do not need to prove to the peanut that it is hurting you. You do not owe it a dissertation on immunology. You simply stop consuming it. You remove it from your environment. The emotional payoff is a return to homeostasis. It is the quiet, blissful hum of a nervous system that is no longer in a state of high alert. One day, you wake up and realize your shoulders are relaxed. Your stomach is calm. Your mind is quiet. You have removed the allergen. You have detoxified your system. And in that clean, clear space, you can finally breathe again. You are no longer obligated to consume what is poison to you simply because you once called it love. Your time with them exists in a bubble. It's a pocket of reality, separate from the rest of their world. You don't meet their friends, not the important ones. Your name is never mentioned when they talk about their future plans, the trip next year, the career move, the life they are building. You are a convenient secret. In the bright light of day, when you are with them, you may feel cherished. But the moment you part, you cease to exist in their public life. You are a ghost. The emotional trigger is the sharp, humiliating pain of being hidden. It is a unique form of disrespect. It sends a clear, brutal message. You are good enough for my private time, but you are not good enough for my world. You are good enough for my body, but not for my reputation. It is a fundamental denial of your whole value as a human being. It reduces you to a function, a convenience, an object to be used when needed and stored away when not. A core tenet of Stoicism, especially for men like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius, who lived in the public eye, was a life of virtue and integrity. Integrity means to be whole, to be integrated. A life of integrity has no hidden rooms, no secret compartments where one's values don't apply. There is no integrity in a connection that thrives in the shadows. It is a house built on a foundation of shame and convenience. It is, by its very nature, a fractured and dishonest thing. Seneca said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." But the trial of being someone's secret is not a trial that perfects. It is not a friction that polishes. It is a friction that erodes. It grinds you down. It teaches you to accept less. It trains you to believe that you are worthy only of the shadows. The metaphor is that of being a ghost in their life. You haunt the quiet corners. You are felt, but not seen by anyone who matters. You leave traces a memory, a scent but. You have no real substance in their daily reality. You are not a character in their story. You are a footnote, written in invisible ink, and you spend your days waiting, hoping that one day they will find the courage to speak your name, to acknowledge your presence, to let you walk into the light. But that day never comes. The power move is to stop haunting a house that was never yours. It is to reclaim your own embodiment. Emotional payoff is the profound dignity of choosing to be seen. You stop waiting for an invitation into their story, and you finally, fully, become the main character in your own. You realize that you were dimming your own light, hoping they would be the one to turn it up. Now, you grab the switch yourself. You choose to walk in the sun. You choose friends who are proud to be with you. You build a life where you are not a secret, but the central, undeniable fact. And you discover that the light you were waiting for them to give you was inside you all along. You stay because of the person you see in fleeting glimpses, the person they could be. You see it in the rare moments of startling clarity, the flashes of profound kindness, the promises of a better future. You see the person they are for one good day a month, and you cling to that day like a starving person clings to a crumb. You have fallen in love, not with the person who stands before you, day in and day out, but with their potential. You are in a relationship with a ghost of the future, and so you constantly make excuses for their current, painful reality, their neglect, their disrespect, their inconsistency. You wave it all away as a temporary phase, a rough patch on the road to them becoming that better version of themselves. Your hope for who they might be tomorrow has blinded you to the reality of who they are today. The emotional trigger is the exhausting, relentless cycle of hope and disappointment. You are living in a state of what if, a fantasy world that prevents you from seeing what is. It's the constant, low-level anxiety of a gambler who has lost a fortune but is convinced the next hand will be the jackpot. This hope is not virtue, it is a poison. It keeps you tethered to a situation that is actively hurting you. The Stoics were, above all else, ruthless realists. Their first job was always to see the world as it is, and people as they are stripped of hopes, fears, and judgments. Marcus Aurelius would practice by describing a fancy meal not as a wonderful feast, but as the dead body of a fish, the dead body of a bird or a pig. He did this not to be morbid, but to strip away the story and see the raw fact, to base your peace and your future on someone else's potential is to commit a cardinal Stoic sign. It is to give the keys to your inner citadel to a person who has not even built their own. It is the ultimate violation of the dichotomy of control. Their growth, their journey, their potential is their business. It is entirely outside of your control. Your business is your own peace, your own life, right here, right now. The symbol for this is the unfinished statue. You see a magnificent block of marble, and inside it, you can visualize a breathtaking form, a masterpiece. You believe that your love, your patience, your sacrifice will be the chisel that sets it free. You see yourself as the heroic sculptor who will reveal the beauty within. But you are not the sculptor, only they can be. And so you spend your days, your months, your years chipping away. Your hands become raw and bloody. The floor is covered in dust and broken pieces of your own effort. You are exhausted, and the block of marble remains, for the most part, unchanged. You have given everything to reveal a beauty that the marble itself is not ready or willing to become. The power move is to quietly put down the chisel. The emotional payoff is the liberating act of firing yourself from the job of their salvation. You release yourself from the crushing responsibility for their transformation. You accept the statue as it is, an unfinished block of marble, full of potential, but not your work to complete. And you walk away to appreciate the art that is already finished, that is already beautiful, that is already whole. You begin with the forgotten masterpiece in the corner of the room, your own life. Beneath the noise, there is a signal. Beneath the layers of rationalizations, the justifications, the hope, the fear, and the endless mental arguments, there is a quiet, persistent voice, a gut feeling, an intuition. It is not loud, it is not dramatic or hysterical. It is a steady, deep, resonant hum of knowing. The hum that says, "This is not right." The whisper in the dead of night that says, "This is not peace." The feeling in your bones that says, "This is not for you." You do everything you can to silence it. You drown it out with logic, but they have so many good qualities. You smother it with nostalgia, but remember that one time, ... You argue with it, you ignore it, you numb it, but it is always there. In the quiet moments, in the car, in the shower, in the instant before you fall asleep, that calm, clear voice emerges from the depths, whispering the truth. This is the most profound and reliable sign of all. The emotional trigger is the exhausting internal war between your intuition and your attachment. Trusting this inner voice feels, on some level, like a betrayal of the person you care for, but ignoring it feels like a profound betrayal of yourself. This conflict is what tears you apart. It is the civil war within your own soul. The Stoics had a name for this inner voice. They called it the hegemonikon, the ruling faculty of the mind. It was the seat of reason, the core of the self, the divine spark of logic and truth that resided within every human being. For the Stoics, living a good life meant living in accordance with this ruling faculty. To ignore it, to fight it, to silence it, was to live out of sync with nature, with reason, and with your own soul. It was the path to misery. Your intuition is your hegemonikon speaking to you in its purest form. It is the wisdom of your entire being condensed into a single, simple feeling. The metaphor is a compass. Your intuition is the needle of that compass. By its very nature, it knows where true north is. True north, for you, is peace, dignity, growth, and self-respect. The person or situation you are in is a powerful, disruptive magnet. It is pulling on that needle, trying to convince it that north is somewhere else entirely. It creates a frantic, vibrating energy. It makes the compass feel broken. You can fight the needle. You can get angry at it for not pointing where you want it to. You can shake the compass, hoping to reset it. But you are fighting a law of nature. The needle will always, always try to point north. The power move is the simplest and most terrifying one of all. You stop fighting. You simply follow the compass. You don't need a detailed map. You don't need a logical 10-point argument to justify it to anyone else. You just need to trust the needle and take the first step in the direction it is pointing. The emotional payoff is a profound sense of alignment and homecoming. The frantic, vibrating energy inside you ceases. The war is over. The needle settles, calm and steady, pointing the way. You have stopped fighting yourself, and you have finally, blessedly, come back to your own side. Take a moment and think back. Think back to the person you were before this dynamic took hold, before the anxiety, before the performance, before the endless analysis. Who were you? Were you lighter? Did you laugh more easily? Were you more creative, more spontaneous, more open to the world? Did you feel a sense of confidence in your own skin? A quiet belief in your own worth? Now, look at yourself today. Look in the mirror, past the surface, and into your own eyes. What do you see? Do you feel cynical? Do you feel anxious? Do you feel drained, brittle, small? Do you feel like a ghost haunting the edges of your own life? When a connection, whether with a person, a job, or a situation, consistently diminishes your best qualities and amplifies your worst, it is not a partnership. It is a slow, methodical theft of your soul. The emotional trigger is the terrifying, chilling realization that you are losing yourself. It often comes in a flash. You catch a glimpse of yourself in a reflection, and you don't recognize the weary, guarded person looking back. Or you react to something in a way that shocks you with bitterness, with pettiness, with a level of fear you didn't know you had. It is a 5-alarm fire for the soul, a siren warning you that the essence of who you are is being extinguished. Marcus Aurelius, in his meditations, was not just writing philosophy. He was performing soul maintenance. He was constantly checking in with himself, journaling to ensure that the pressures of the world, the betrayals, the politics, the stress of command were not corrupting his inner self. He was asking, am I still living in alignment with my best, most virtuous self? He understood that external forces can and will corrupt and diminish the soul if it is not guarded with vigilance. Your relationship with yourself is the only relationship you are guaranteed for your entire life. It is the primary relationship. To sacrifice it for another is the ultimate bad bargain. It is trading gold for lead. The metaphor is one of color. You were once a vibrant, colorful painting. Your personality had rich hues of laughter, deep shades of passion, bright spots of creativity and joy. But this connection has been slowly, insidiously painting over you with shades of gray. Each compromise, each moment of disrespect, each swallowed truth, each ignored boundary adds another thin, translucent layer. At first you barely notice, but layer upon layer upon layer, and soon the vibrant painting underneath is almost completely obscured. Your light has been dimmed, your colors muted. You have become a grayscale version of yourself. The power move is to take the paintbrush out of their hand forever. The emotional payoff is the slow, deliberate, and deeply satisfying work of scraping away the gray. It's painful at first. It requires patience. But then you see a flash of the original color underneath. A spark of your old humor, a flicker of your lost confidence, and you keep going. You rediscover the vibrant colors of your own being, and you find that your own light, your own creativity, your own laughter returns brighter, richer, and more cherished than ever before, because now you know how precious it is. You know what it costs to lose it. And you will never let anyone paint over you again. Imagine it right now, just for a moment. Give yourself permission. Imagine that it's over. The decision has been made. You have walked away. There are no more tense conversations to navigate. No more checking your phone with a mix of hope and dread. No more analyzing their mood, their tone, the subtext of their words. No more walking on eggshells. No more performing. No more waiting. It is done. You are free now. Take a deep breath and check in with your body. Be ruthlessly honest with yourself. What is the dominant feeling that arises in that imagined space? Is it a crushing, devastating sadness? Is it panic? Or is it a quiet, expansive, undeniable wave of relief. If the thought of it being over feels like a 1,000-pound weight being lifted off your chest, you have your answer. If your first, uncensored emotional response to a future without them is peace, then your soul has already made its decision. Your mind just hasn't caught up yet. The emotional trigger is the immense guilt that often follows this feeling of relief. You immediately censor yourself. You think, how can I feel this way? I must be a terrible person. If I loved them, I would be devastated. This guilt is the last defense mechanism of your attachment. It is the final trick the mind plays to keep you chained to a situation that is destroying you. But that relief is not a sign of your cruelty. That relief is your soul's confession. It is the pure, unvarnished truth that your loyalty has been trying to suppress. The Stoics teach us to align our desires with nature, to want what is truly good for us, and what is truly good is apatheia, that state of tranquility and freedom from disturbance. If freedom from a person brings you closer to tranquility, then that freedom is the correct and natural path, no matter how difficult the first steps may be. Your feeling of relief is your inner compass, your hegemonicon, pointing directly toward your own well-being. The symbol is a door. For a long, long time, you have been standing in a small, dark, stuffy room, and you have been staring at the door. You have been afraid of what's on the other side. You've imagined a cold, terrifying emptiness, an abyss of loneliness. And so you have stayed in the stuffy room, convincing yourself it's safe. But now, in this moment of imagination, you allow yourself to picture turning the knob. And when you do, you don't feel a cold draft. You feel a warm, gentle breeze. You smell the air of new possibilities. You see light. The sadness you feel is for the familiar room you are leaving, even if it was a prison. But the relief you feel is for the vast, open world that awaits you. The power move is the simplest one there is. You turn the knob and you walk through the door. You don't slam it. You don't shout back into the room. You simply walk through and let it click shut behind you. The emotional payoff is the profound, earth-shattering realization that you were never afraid of being alone. You were afraid of being in a prison with an open door. Walking away is not an act of abandonment. It is the ultimate act of self-liberation. You were not running from them. You were running toward yourself. Walking away is the beginning, not the end. The first few days, the first few weeks, the silence you craved will feel deafening. Your mind, addicted to the chaos, will create phantom limbs, reaching for what is no longer there. You will find yourself checking your phone for a message that will not come. You will hear a song and feel a sudden, sharp ache of memory. In these moments of withdrawal, the ego will rise up, wounded and furious. It will call for a certain kind of revenge. It will whisper to you at night, painting fantasies of their regret. It will want them to feel your absence like a physical wound. It will want them to wake up one day and be crushed by the realization of what they lost. It will want them to suffer as you have suffered. This desire is not evil, it is human. Big is the cry of a wounded heart demanding justice. Acknowledge it, let it be heard, and then let it pass. Because the Stoic path, the path of true and lasting power, leads us somewhere higher. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, who could have destroyed anyone who wronged him, wrote this to himself in the cold of the morning. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Read those words again, not to hurt him, not to outdo him, but to be unlike him. Your silence is not a punishment you are inflicting on them. It is a sanctuary you are building for yourself. Your growth is not a performance designed to make them jealous. It is the quiet, sacred, difficult work of rebuilding your inner world. The focus shifts entirely from them to you. The ultimate power, the final victory, is not found in their moment of regret, but in your complete and total indifference to whether that moment ever comes. The victory is the day you realize you haven't thought about them at all. It's the evening you spend laughing with friends and only remember on the drive home that there used to be a hole in your heart. It's the genuine, unforced smile that comes from a moment of purely unattached joy in your own new life. The best revenge is that you no longer seek any. You have taken the pain, the betrayal, the neglect, and you have transformed it. You have become an alchemist of the soul. You did not turn your pain into a weapon to be aimed back at them. You turned it into fuel. You used the blistering heat of that fire to forge an inner citadel, a fortress of self-respect, peace, and unbreakable tranquility, so strong and so beautiful that you would never dream of leaving its gates to check if their world is crumbling. They have not been destroyed. They have not been punished. They have simply been made irrelevant. Their power over you, their memory, their slights, they all dissolve into nothingness. Not because you fought them, but because you built a world so magnificent they no longer have a place in it. You did not just walk away from them. You walked into everything. Subscribe.